Welcome to Recovery Unfiltered. I'm Larry. I'm an alcoholic.
I am Rob. I am also an alcoholic. We are not professionals. There are no letters after our names. We know very little. However, you will hear the word God and a four-letter word in the same sentence. You will also be offended. So if you are easily offended, just pass us by. This podcast is not for you.
Our opinions are just that. If you don't agree with what we're saying, that's okay. We're going to love you anyways. We are not in any way affiliated with AA.
So sit back, grab a beverage of your choice, and get ready.
Let's go.
Hello, Rob.
Hey, Larry.
Welcome back, brother.
Welcome back.
You know, this recording on Sundays has been a lot easier for us.
It does feel a lot more relaxed.
There's more relaxed.
No time constraints.
No time restraints. Even, like I said, I talked about on the last one, we shelved Becky because we got up against that hard break, and I'm not doing that no more. When I talked, because she's going to come back in next week and record, I told her she was going to do it on a Saturday again. And I was like, what time you got to leave? She goes, I got to leave by 11. I go, we ain't doing that. I'm not. I'm not doing those hard breaks. I'm not doing that no more because it takes completely away from what we're trying to do. Because I was constantly watching the clock, constantly watching when she's got to get out of here. And all that.
They consciously or unconsciously are forced to try to feel they got to get to a certain point, and it just doesn't flow.
Yeah,
it's not unfiltered.
It sucks. So yesterday we had a good meeting yesterday. Or did you say it wasn't unfiltered? Boy.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? We got to throw something in. I did it last week. I almost screwed up, but we got to get our email and everything out there. So if you want to reach us, you got celebrations, you got birthdays, you got concerns, you got anything like that. Questions, anything. We've had a few people call in. We'll probably talk to them a little bit later. But it's recoveryunfilteredpodcast at gmail.com. That's recoveryunfilteredpodcast@gmail.com.
And what we'd really like is if you have a topic, if you have an idea, there's something you want us to speak on or clarify.
Right.
Or if you have a critique, we won't listen to it, but go ahead and bring it
up. Damn it, Rob. So we had a good meeting yesterday morning, men's group yesterday.
Yes, we did.
You know, I brought our friend he's been struggling with the wet brain, the little dementia that he's been working with. Took him into the meeting with my nephew, and I'm getting better at this stuff. It used to be that I wanted that perfect ambiance and, I wanted to pre-warn everybody that this and that. And I just went in there and I sat down. I said, listen, whatever God leads these two guys to do, it was William's first meeting and it was Chris's. He's been to meetings, but he's never been, he's still struggling with his memory.
Well, because of his memory, every meeting is the first memory.
Right.
It's like,
So I wasn't,
I'm Bob.
Right. So I wasn't real for sure, but I just let it go. I let it go. It was
great.
And William had an amazing share. I'm so excited for him to get to start working with you. I don't want to work with him because I know too much, right?
And I wouldn't either if I was in your position.
I know too much, and I'm very excited about William getting to start working with you. I think he's very ready. He lives and works up in Yosemite, but I think he's very, very excited to get working at this. He's got a great story. Can't wait to get him working through some of that. Chris, I was a little nervous, and then they called on him to share. I was like, oh, shit.
But again, that's a God thing.
I did. Happen. And I just sat back, and I just waited. And he had an amazing share. He got even emotional in his share because I think a lot of this stuff he's starting to remember a lot of this stuff, right? I think with everything we're doing for him and taking him out to the meetings and getting him involved and then the people that we have coming in, then at the end, I stopped and I just asked Chris, hey, can I finish sharing for you? And he said, yeah. And, I just shared with everybody. And I said, Chris is a special individual. He's an alcoholic. He is one of us. I mean, he admittedly says it, but he's got a memory issue, and he's over at this facility. And if anybody wants to come in and I almost felt nervous about saying that because but I think it got very, very great response. If we can get more of those men to go visit him throughout the week and stay with him, I think we're going to be able to get him out of there, to get him in some kind of a sober living house.
But what that does, it provides people who aren't sponsors or maybe that's not their gift or they're not chairing meetings to be of service,
right?
To get into service, go visit someone. That's something they could feel comfortable doing.
Absolutely. And it was a Saturday morning meetings are probably one of my favorite meetings besides the Monday. Those are really the only two meetings I attend regularly. But those Saturday morning meetings sometimes are just amazing. I really do enjoy them. Anyways, we are going to get ready to bring in our guest this week. I'm super excited about this one. This guy has been a huge part of my recovery, just like everybody that's been brought in here. But this is the guy that when I first learned about being complacency and started getting a little bit, soft in my readings and that kind of stuff. I heard this guy speak and I fell in love with him. I mean, I think he's got a great spirit. So I'm going to bring him on in. You want to introduce yourself, guest?
Hey everyone, Jason, alcoholic.
Hey, Jason, welcome in.
Thanks, guys.
Been working real hard to get you in here. You're a hard one to get in here because you're such a busy man.
I'm here now.
God bless. So tell us about yourself.
So, just want to start off by saying, I've shared my story a few times, and what I have noticed, every time it's a little bit different.
Absolutely.
And every time I'm nervous to share, so this time is no different. The nerves will go away and, I'll be able to calm down and get through it. But I think it's important that I note that it's different every time. And I think it's different every time because of where we're at in our journey.
Oh, yeah.
When I told my story for the first time at 6 months, I had been attending a lot of meetings at the Tracy Fellowship. And there were some old timers there, and they liked what I had to say and, asked me to tell my story. And then after they had asked, and I was sitting there that day getting ready to tell my story, they had asked how many days or how long I had been sober. And I said 6 months, and they looked at me like, oh, geez, maybe we kind of screwed up here. But my story was way different than the last time I shared it, So, for me, telling my story, we want to kind of give a little bit of a precedence of, maybe what our childhood was like. I think that's important. I think, people can relate to that and people cannot relate to that. And the important part about this is that we're so similar, but we have so many dissimilar things as well. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I think it does to you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, February 9th, 2019 is my sobriety date. I'm knocking on 6 years. And, I like to hear it. That's a lot of 1 days at a time.
Right.
It's a lot for me. And I take it that way. I take it 1 day at a time. I don't try to say, well, I'm going to go 10 years, but, getting off track here.
The nice thing about it is we'll bring it all back together.
Yeah. So I was 47 years old when I finally decided enough was enough. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. My life was unmanageable. I just couldn't control it, So let me start by telling my story as a child. Grew up in a middle-class family. Parents struggled with their marriage and eventually got divorced. I was pretty much the man of the house. I had an older sister. I ended up staying with my mom and my sister. In my childhood, I got...
How much older is your sister?
2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how old were you when that happened?
So when they got divorced.
Divorce, yeah.
Yeah, I think I was right around 14.
Okay.
Yeah, but...
Hell of an age to be the man of the house.
Well, exactly, right? But that had been ongoing. That had been from like age 6 till then.
A little closer.
Okay. That had been 6 to 14 that I was dealing with this broken marriage. And throughout that time, for whatever reasons, I had a pretty rough childhood with my dad. My dad took a lot of things out on me. So literally on a daily basis, I got beat. And the older I got, the heavier the beatings were. And I like to say this because, again, this is not the poor me.
Right.
We all had a poor me, and it's important not to throw that away. We've got to discuss it. We've got to talk about it. We got to put it out there, right?
Was your dad a drinker though?
He was not a drinker. But his dad was a raging alcoholic and beat every one of his siblings and his mother, right? Okay. So he grew up in an alcoholic household. Gotcha. He was also an immigrant, right? He wasn't born in this country.
Your dad or your grandpa?
My dad.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So my dad came over at 5 years old from Malta. The family fluently speaks Maltese, so immigrant family.
You too?
No.
You fluently speak Maltese?
No. Weird thing. He never really wanted to share that.
Really?
And you could kind of understand that, you know, coming over, being an outsider or from a different country, you kind of want to fit in. So you don't really want that part of your past.
Right.
So he kind of shut the door on it.
Okay.
But anyway,
I'll tell you a story later on. What ties me and Jason together.
Yeah. So let's see. Try to stay on track with that. I got beat.
It's going to be hard to stay on track with Rob and I. I'm just.
No, that's good. I encourage it because it'll help me get through. Yeah. So again, I don't want to say my childhood was horrible because I had a lot of really good things as well. Like, you know, it was important for my family to do family activities. Like we were at the lake. We actually had a 78 Ford F-250 with a cab over camper. Come on. You know, we left it at the lake year round. That was our RV, right? So we'd just take the boat up and we'd camp and we would ski. I had a lot of opportunities for hunting and fishing as a kid. So there was a lot of good things as well. I also was able to show cattle and hogs at County Fair, State Fair, Cow Palace. I mean, that took a huge financial commitment from my parents. I did that for 5 years.
Where'd you grow up at?
Wood Colony area.
Okay, yeah.
So on the other, over by the mall.
Yep.
Yeah. Kim and I both went to Heart Ransom.
Gotcha. Yep.
So anyway, there was a lot of good to it, but you know, dealing with that part of my childhood, it affected me.
Oh yeah.
You know, not only the getting beat daily. My dad beat me so hard. He had a watch band that would flip back and hit his arm. It hurt him so much he'd have to stop the beatings to take his watch off to start beating me again.
It gave you a chance to run.
Yeah. No, what happened is I got a thickened hide.
Right.
And I just didn't cry no more.
Right.
And that's when he knew there was a problem.
Yeah.
So anyway, getting through that, it's important for me to acknowledge that because I didn't think it really affected me. I didn't think, you know, the beatings affected me. I didn't think the divorce affected me. Right. But as we get older and start acknowledging things, it was my life,
it does.
You know? So anyway, there was good and bad in my childhood, just like a lot of people's stories that you hear. Going through high school, again, I was the man of the house. I had a lot of freedom. You know, I did what I wanted to do. So drinking was easy. I had a very good friend. He was my best friend who at the time was my sister's fiance. He and I got drunk all the time, 15, 16 years old, you know, it was part of it. But I never really had a problem with it, right? I never took it to the extremes. I never got a DUI. I never got arrested. I never had anything really bad happen to me.
High school shenanigans.
Yeah, exactly, right? And I kept it at bay. It wasn't like I woke up the next morning with a hangover and said, let's fix this. Little Harry the dog. It was, man, I don't want to do that again. Just like every other young man in this world, days. Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, thought I pretty well had a handle on it. Ended up going to junior college, got scholarships for rodeo. So I, again, got even more freedom by going down to Kalinga and, you know, being away from home. Of course, didn't have much money, but got all kinds of financial aid, which was like free money, which I paid for that for the rest of my life. But, you know, thought I was doing all right. This is the right thing to do, you know, go get an education. So, just want to touch base on that really quick. Down there, my first party was like day 2 down there. And it was at a place called the Bat Caves. And we were down there and, you know, I know people from rodeos, but I don't know them. Right. And so, you know, all those awkward moments, getting to know each other. So I was helping somebody. We were building a bonfire down there. Great. I mean, a rager, like, you know, cord of wood type bonfire, if not bigger. And so it's down below in the river bottom. There's a bluff up top and we hear sirens and lights. And here comes a sheriff. He's up on top of the bluff and he gets on his loudspeaker and says, hey, all you guys, come on over here. I need to talk to you. And I'm like, oh boy, here it is. Day 2. I'm already in trouble. So he gets us all gathered up around his car and he goes, now I want you guys to promise me you're going to have some designated drivers here. And so, yeah, he grabbed one side of the keg. I grabbed the other and we carried it on down to the bonfire. He said, you guys be safe. Have a good night.
That's the 80s for you right there, brother.
And so I'm like, oh boy, it's on, baby. We ain't got to worry about nothing now. We're in. So that was that was the first experience down
What
there.
events did you do in rodeo, Jason?
So in high school, I was always going for the all around. So I roped calves, team roped, bulldogged, rode bareback horses, rode bulls, and cut.
Wow.
So yeah, I did it all. In college, I was a steer wrestler and a bareback rider.
Okay.
But I also started riding broncs because we had a great setting. You know, we had 50 head of bucking horses. Probably half were bareback horses, half were saddle bronc horses. We
At
had
the junior college.
yeah. Yeah. It was the number one rodeo team in the nation
Wow.
for 5 years running when I went down there. So we had, even though it was a junior college, we excelled. So we had a lot of the big guys, a lot of the stock contractors that had all of their campaigners or all of their retired animals that went to the NFR. We had
There was a big, in fact, they had a Netflix series on one of the guys that raised bulls that's down from that area too.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it.
To be honest with you, I don't know all
Right.
the current names.
Right.
There's so many these days, and there's a lot of bull riders that are really up and coming and great.
Right.
But anyway,
Okay.
down there, for another first is the first time I remember being so drunk I couldn't walk, and I crawled home a couple of blocks. You know, had brand new shoes on and brand new pants. Had holes
They weren't
in-
when you got home.
Nope. So, got pulled over a couple of times in that town with a beer between my legs. Both times got let go. One time he was pissed. The other time it was like a warning, you know. So all of these moments, right? Those moments when the man upstairs
Right.
was always looking after us,
Right.
we just didn't realize it.
We're trying to give you a warning.
Sorry, Kim. Sorry. You want to introduce
yeah.
that?
So
It's okay. It's okay.
no, now's the time. So, we also have Kim with us, who is my lifetime soulmate. She is
Very
my
good.
wife. Kim and I met in the 5th grade.
Wow.
And
Okay.
literally we're holding hands, you know, from that time till now. There were some moments in our lives where we were separated, which we'll probably get into a little bit
sure.
later. But yeah, Kim is here.
I want to go over, because Jason, Jason and I are alike in this way. We're to-do list kind of guys. So we like check. And that's why Jason brought in this. You skipped over something, and I may regret bringing this up, but I'm not going to let it go. At 8 years old, watched my mom revived by firemen EMTs for an overdose due to a suicide attempt.
Yeah. So let me give a little bit of background on what Larry's talking
Right.
about. So, like I said at the beginning of this, I've told my story multiple times. Every time my story was different. So I decided before the last time I shared to sit down and really go through my life from as far back as I can remember till current and write down all the things that
Have
came
a
to mind.
chronology.
You're right. Right.
Yeah, and you know, for those of you who haven't done it,
Right.
I highly recommend
Oh, yeah.
it because you will touch some emotions you didn't
Yep.
know you
Oh,
had.
yeah.
So I printed out this story with bullet points, and Larry is reading off of this story
Going
that
down the to-do list.
yeah, exactly.
Well,
no,
but
so and it's
also
good.
on that though, Jason, and I hear people say this, and I want to make sure our listeners understand. When you say you've told your story and it changes every time, it's not that you're embellishing and going any direction. It's because when you get in front of a crowd of people, you generally allow God to just, talk about what happens, right? Yeah. We tell this part of the story, we tell that part of the story, and sometimes you fill the room and you think this part of the story is not, it's
100%.
not right. So that's what when Jason says, his story changes from time to time, that's what he's saying.
Well, and also depending on your audience,
right.
Sometimes they'll ask you to speak for an hour.
Right.
Hour and 15.
Right.
Sometimes they want you to do a 15, 20 minute, then go into a topic. So you got to get the cliff notes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
No, that's right. And yeah.
So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We're talking about Kim, your better half.
Hold on. Yeah. So
he's going to give us context on what you asked.
Sorry.
Yeah. So that's a big bullet point there, right? So I did a lot of things at 8 years old. There's some other things there. First of all, 8 years old was the first time that I remember feeling the effects of alcohol.
Wow. Okay.
Right? 8 years old, I drank a fifth of whiskey within a few hours. Yeah. I remember taking a sip and feeling the warm, comfortable feeling.
Yes.
And I was by myself, right?
Can you remember what kind of whiskey it was?
Here comes the sponsor.
Yeah, it was Southern Comfort.
Sponsored by Southern Comfort.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
You remember that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
my
sweet-
grandma,
sweet Southern Comfort.
it was at my grandparents' place, right? And my grandma had a really sly way of hiding the liquor from the grandchildren. She sewed like a cheesecloth sleeve that would go over all the liquor. So if you open the refrigerator, you could see sodas, beers, and then all these bottles with these. So anyway, I'm
Very
like,
sly, very sly.
yeah, right. So of course I tried it, and I remember going, oh my gosh, this is something else. So anyway, that was at 8. I also rolled my own joints and smoked weed at 8. How about that one? Right?
That's talent.
And what Larry was talking about, again, like I mentioned, from 6 to 14, my parents were going through struggles.
Right.
They always tried to bring it back together, and they never could. But my mom made a suicide attempt, and I remember, the door getting knocked down by firemen and EMTs coming in and reviving my mom in front of me.
Wow.
So
That's traumatic.
yeah, it's something that you bury.
Right.
And again, this
Deep.
is something that comes up later in life. I'm like, oh my gosh, I had totally forgotten about that.
How do you so that's incredible right there what you just that is powerful what you just said. Your mother attempts suicide at 8 years old and you watch EMTs revive her
Yeah.
and you forgot about that.
Oh,
That's some deep shit right there. When you learn
that's
that
God
behavior,
doing for us what we couldn't
right?
do for ourselves.
Yes, but when you learn that behavior to bury that kind of stuff is how let me rephrase that. Me as my disease, that's how I coped with it, right? And that's where, and then I eventually coped with it with alcohol, right?
Yeah.
So
Being molested didn't come up to my 2 years sober, second time doing the steps.
that just
Just buried it.
Bro.
And until that shit learn,
Right.
you drink it away until it learns to swim.
right.
Yeah. And so let's
Like
continue
your
on.
sayings, Rob.
Let's continue on with 8 years old. I was also molested at 8 years old,
Oh my god,
Yeah. So 8 was a really pivotal.
Jason, we may not have enough time for you today.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah. I mean, however it goes, guys.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we got through that. We talked about junior college. Junior college, I really learned how to not be who I wanted to be.
Right.
You know what I mean? I drank often. I had my 21st birthday party 3 times at the same bar.
Right on.
Didn't that poor Charlie?
Yeah.
Now, there's also powdered accelerants come into his story.
And so prior to going there, of course, I dabbled a little bit in high school but I never really let that take over. Right. And so, at the last 2 years of my 3 years at junior college, I was asked to be a part of the livestock evaluation team, which is, this is the guy that you see at the county fair that's judging the cattle.
Yeah,
1,
yeah.
2, 3, 4. So believe it or not, there's teams at every major school throughout the country, and there's competitions. And I was
Wow.
on that junior college team, and I did well enough that I got a scholarship to go to Fresno State. Right. So I went to Fresno State. Kim also went to Fresno State. So Kim and I went to grammar school together, high school together. We went to 2 different junior colleges and then met back up
Wow.
at Fresno State. So, graduated moved on to Fresno State. Fresno State's where I really started digging into the powdered accelerants. Right. So,
Sponsored by White Marching Powder.
yeah. Yeah.
Robisms.
So, again, with the drinking part of things, never really let it get too far out of hand. But my second year there, I was a vice noble ruler of Alpha Gamma Rho for alumni relations. So I was part of that staff at one of the biggest partying fraternities, in the fraternity mall at Fresno State. So fast forwarding, the following year, they elected me in as the president. They called the president at AGR the noble ruler. So talk about ego, right? We were sponsored by Value Distributing. So we had free Coors Light. We had Copenhagen. We were sponsored by Copenhagen.
Right.
We never paid for beer or alcohol. We had guys in our, it's a national ag fraternity.
Right.
So we had guys that were coming from big ranches down south. We had guys at trucking companies. We had parties where in the middle of June, we had one of our brothers send up 10 belly dumps up to the snow, loaded it up with snow, and our whole parking lot had 3 foot of snow.
Nice.
You know what I mean? We were, the Coors girls were there at all times to take pictures with yada, yada, yada. It was a fun, exciting time.
Absolutely.
Right. And so my partying increased. Powder accelerants came into play. And I drank. I mean, I took that to drink more, to stay up later, to party on,
to run. Yeah.
So
Work hard, play hard.
Work hard, play hard. Exactly. And still at that point in time, although looking back, there was a lot of things that we did or I did that, were alcoholic minded things, but I never really had a problem. I still maintained, I was able to keep my life in order. I went to work. I did what I had to do. Moving on past that, I actually left Fresno with 22 units to go to get my degree in ag education. So I never graduated. And that was because of alcohol and drugs, straight up. Kim and I went through some hard times, a lot of separations back and forth. I really couldn't manage it. And that was my way out. That was my way out. I did not like being the person that I was being. And by leaving there, I was able to go hide in my hole.
So that's kind of like a geographic cure.
That was a geographic cure. Right. But what did it do? I got back in town, started hanging out with a roofing crew. You know who I'm talking about. We'll say no names, but talk about, powder accelerants.
Yeah, buddy.
Then we worked hard. Mm-hmm. We worked long hours. We all tried to keep up with each other, and that was an easy way to do it. So, long story short, that really started taking over my life. And then,
how old were you at this time, Jason, when you started the roofing?
So this was after I came back from Fresno, but I had been roofing all summers from when I was like 10 years old.
Okay.
So, I would be with the crew, the two that and every summer we would work together. Came back from college. That was my hiding place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was all around the same type of people doing the same types of things. They weren't ashamed. Really, they probably were, but we all were not ashamed together doing what we were doing.
Right.
We weren't in the public's eye. We stayed at the ranch. We woke up, we went to work, we came back. We had the same cycle. We were not part of society.
Wait, 23, 24?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
So, anyway, decided that's not what I wanted. I knew I needed to make a change in my life at that point in time. I think I had told Kim at that time, there's one of two things that I need to do: get out of town or join the service. And an opportunity came up for me to run a horse ranch in Hollister. So I'm like, well, here we go. So I did the geographical move. I went to Hollister. Kim and I actually, so let me give a little background, because this is the Sharon Ranch in Hollister, right?
If he misses on a few points, Kim, feel free to
I'm just mesmerized by him talking right now, so it's okay.
Oh my God, we got a fan here.
So this ranch was top notch, right? When we got there, it had been subdivided and it was being turned into an HOA, and they were building a bunch of really nice fancy houses, gated community. And we had the woman that I was working for had the main part of the ranch. So just top.
Oh, you told
notch.
us about this lady last week. We were fishing.
Yeah. Glennis Crabb was her name. So she was from Britain. She actually got divorced from one of these .comers. I can't remember which company it was, but she got multi-million dollars.
So you're looking at the end of 99 right now. Like end of 90s?
No. We're 96, 97, 95.
Yeah, end of the 90s.
Right.
Yeah,
mid 90s.
This is right after we had met for the first time.
Yep. Right.
Actually, when you because I just got out of the Navy.
Yep.
I was getting ready to get married for my first time. And
That's
right. I had 30 years ago.
That's
when
right.
I met Jason.
30 years, wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm getting into the weeds here.
Okay.
We're letting you.
I ended up moving down there to take this job to get away from the chaos.
Another geographic
from the chaos that I had created. This was going to be a perfect opportunity for me to get cleaned up, straighten up, and get my life on the path that Kim and I wanted it, you know? And this was me. This is me knowing that I needed to straighten up. So went down there. We were able to build a 1,200 square foot apartment inside this barn. So Kim and I, hands on together, got to build this place. We got to live in it for a couple of years. And at that point in time, I met some people that were working for, and, you know, I talked to this guy and he's like, man, yeah, this is such a great company. And I'm like, I love what I'm doing at this horse ranch, but I need more money. I'm about ready to start a family, trying to get my shit together. And so I was interested. And for 30 days straight, I faxed my resume to about 22 people within that company. And
Wow.
on the 31st day,
Wow.
I got a call. So ended up getting hired with this company. Everything was looking good. I now have insurance,
Okay.
right?
Oh.
I've got my
Is baby on the way right now?
No.
Okay, but
but this is to that point, Rob. This is where I wanted to be. I needed to be at a comfortable place in my life in order to move forward, to be a dad, to be a husband, right? And I think as young men, we all kind of think about that. I wasn't there. My whole life, I wasn't there. But now I had an opportunity to get on this path and get my life straight.
And your drinking at this point is under control.
I'm drinking, but yeah, it's under
but
control.
you're okay.
Yeah. You know, like I said, I never really had a problem with it. When I drank hard.
Right.
But I was always able to go through the hangovers and tell myself, man, I don't want to do that again until the next time. Right. It wasn't that I needed it.
Right.
So ended up getting this job, working for him for a couple of years. And then, man, I was doing so good. We've got to pat ourselves on the back. And at that point in time, I thought, man, I could probably get back into that powdered accelerant a little bit.
Here we go.
But I'll control it this time.
Right.
And, you know, of course it didn't work. And within 3 years, Kim and I were separated. Now, at the end of that 2 years of working, that's when baby Jake comes along. Right.
Okay.
Then we move
Again.
back home.
Another geographical change.
Another geographical change. Move back home. And this is where slightly, just little by little, this started coming back into my life, right? Powder accelerants. Or I was allowing it. There's people around me. It was easy.
Right.
It was easy to get. It was easy to do.
In construction.
Right? And I was really proving myself at that time in the industry.
Oh, in the
industry.
Okay.
And so the late hours, the extra efforts. And so that helped me in my mind. It was helping me, but really in reality, it was killing me on the inside.
But the short-term goal, the short-term help, it does provide until it starts to eat you alive.
100%.
But it does. And
Superstar.
but you are one of the smartest and most gifted, just talented people with your hands that I know.
Well, thank you.
And at first, this does it. If it was misery from day one, we wouldn't touch it.
Right.
But it's not. It's cunning and baffle, just like alcohol.
Yeah.
You know, until it turns on you.
Yeah.
Until it turns on you.
Until it turns, and it always will.
Yep.
Yeah. So, allowed that to get back into my life. Again, the drinking was always there. I can recall so many times, even at this era, Kim asking, like, I don't understand how you can drink so much, or you always have to be the last one drinking, you know? And I just blew it off. I'm like, everybody's like this. What are you talking about?
Right.
You know, not until I got sober did I notice that hardly anyone is like this, just the ones with the problems.
Yeah.
You know, but I truly wholeheartedly believe back then, come on, you don't know what you're talking about. This is just how people are. Jake was born and
so here's a great time. There's a great note. What year?
99.
99.
Yeah.
Okay.
99. So I was hired with, go ahead.
Yeah, 99 when Jake was born, and then 2 years later.
96 is when I started with the company.
Okay.
Yeah. Before you knew it, Kim and I just couldn't agree on much, you know, and it was It was a lot because of my behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
So we separated 5 years.
Wow.
5 years.
Okay.
We went through battles, court battles, paid a lot of money in retainers for lawyers. We went through the whole process, but when it came down to it, we never signed a dotted
You
line.
guys are still in love.
Yeah, we're still in love.
Yeah.
And so it just, at those 5 years were probably, well, not probably, by far the toughest times of, I think, either one of our lives, including our son.
Right.
He didn't know it at the time, but for a 2-year-old little kid to be separated from his family and go back and forth, man, it tore me up inside. So those 5 years, I went down and up. I ebbed and flowed. So I realized at that point in time, for the first time, that I truly had a problem with drinking. And I was 100% full bore powder accelerants, right? I realized that, drinking.
Jason, you always crack me up when you do that because you always do the throttle hand with it. I was full bar.
Wide open, riding a wheelie down the road, one-handed.
It always, but every time Jason says that, if you're talking to him, he got the whole hand throttle at it.
I mean, it's true.
Hey,
full bore.
We didn't get bad stuff.
No.
It was good stuff.
No, sir. Yeah. So, damn it, Larry. Made me lose
I'm sorry.
Where were we?
5 years go by. It was a tough one.
During that 5 years is when I truly first realized I had a problem with drinking.
Even though powder accelerants, you said, were...
Oh, I knew it. That was 100% off the charts. There was no way I was ever going to be able to stop that in my mind.
Wow.
But believe it or not, my mind was so messed up, I thought that I could probably manage that where I wasn't able to manage the liquor.
See, I was vice versa.
So, well, I went back and forth on it. I went
insanity.
back.
Insanity.
100% insanity.
Wow.
So there was a point in time where I was drinking a gallon of whiskey every 2 days. Religiously. I got to finish this because I got to go get another one.
Right.
It's 2 days later. There was a period of time when I would take a drink and instantly feel like shit, like deep depression, instantly snap of the fingers. And I'm like, whoa, this is gonna kill me.
Because you knew you shouldn't be doing it.
I can't explain it.
Okay.
I never felt it after that, but there was a period of time where I said, again, God doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. Because that feeling of depression was so deep and dark. I wanted to crawl up in a ball in the darkest place and just fall asleep and not come out of it.
That's where I say that Jason and I have a lot.
Wow.
That's
perfect.
Jason and I have had that discussion before, that depression part of it. Him and I have had that. There's that deep where you hear me talk about it. It's just fucking dark. Yeah. Dark. And when I hear people talk about it, it reminds me. It takes
to the
me
pit
back.
of your soul.
Yeah. I mean, I know where it feels. And when I see people, when I hear people talk about it, it makes me more grateful to where I am right now.
I hear you, buddy.
Right?
100%.
And you watch these, you listen to people talk about that deep depression. It takes me back there for a moment, right? Mm-hmm. For a moment. And I praise God that I have that feeling still to this day, that I recognize it. But anyways.
Yeah. No, I mean, just bringing it up and talking about it and hearing myself say it out loud, there was more to it than that. I had my mouth around a barrel many times. Many times with my finger on the trigger, like just an accident with a little too much pressure, I wouldn't be sitting here today, But again, those are things that I put behind me and I don't think about.
When you hear that, Kim, how does that make you feel?
I want to cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just getting emotional right now.
Have you heard him say that before?
Yeah, I think so. But it might have been in a situation where we couldn't really, feel.
Right.
I don't know if it's been we were in a meeting or something,
right.
and he talked about it. But him saying that again really gets to me.
And that's a hell of a place to be. I've been there.
Yeah, yeah.
Katie,
a lot of us have.
Yeah, Katie. When Katie hears some of these podcasts, sometimes, or I'm talking to another alcoholic, and Katie's just standing there. There's still stuff that still comes up in her that I say that it still gets her very emotional. Like it hurts her to hear it.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to ask how
it's a little scary too, and not have control over anything like that, and know that I could not be there for him.
Right.
And you kind of feel guilty a little bit, but
there was nothing anybody could do.
Exactly.
Nobody.
Yeah.
No earthly person could have fixed
Right.
where I was at.
No.
And I don't want to speak for Jason, but no earthly person was going to take me out of that dark spot.
But that's what that's our feeling from inside of us. We want to help, right? We want to be there. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I noticed that there were many times in my story here where I noticed there was an issue that needed to be handled. This
Right.
was one of them.
Right.
And I just promised myself at that time, I'm going to stop drinking.
Yeah.
100% cold turkey. Again, I was drinking during that era, but it wasn't a necessity. So although, I did it on a daily basis, it wasn't like my body said, if you stop, you're going to be in trouble.
Right.
So I promised myself I was going to stop. I did stop. During that time, I was doing odd and end. So this is a deal where I told Kim forever that I got fired. Well, I quit because through that whole court battle, I was paying alimony and child support.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, screw that. Was it the right thing to do? Absolutely not.
Right.
But that's what I thought was right.
You were in that sanity state of mind. Yeah.
So I did that. So during this 5 years time, I'm doing odd and end jobs. I'm doing whatever I can
Under the table.
Under the table, 100%, which again is not the person that I want to be because I'm doing things illegal. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's not the upstanding person that I wanted to be. And so, about the time that I decided I was going to quit drinking, started getting a clearer mind, started getting a little bit of drive. Now, I know you've heard me say this. This was a time where I wrote a little note to myself where,
Right.
the things that I had to do to come out of this, to be a person in society. So I literally wrote a list of things that I had to do for me, like take a shower every day.
Wow.
How about that?
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
Do my laundry, get out, do something for someone, right? That was for me. And then I had a list of things that I needed to do for my family, a list of things that I needed to do for people at work. And so I would look at that on a daily basis just to get me revved up, to get going, to have enough light in the day to move forward.
Wow.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, I ended up getting a job with a guy and, he was doing remodels and I just flourished. I started getting a major tool set together. Ended up getting a utility trailer. And before I knew it, like a year into it, I was doing full blown kitchen and bath remodels.
On the side.
On the side. So life back together. During this time was the second time that I quit chewing Copenhagen. First time for 3 years when Jake was born. Then I started again. Then when I quit drinking, I also quit chewing for 3 years. And anyway, my life was getting better. I was really focused on Jake and Kim and trying to make all of this get better and trying to, show Jake a family life, and really got involved in coaching. So it was on from then, football, baseball, wrestling year round. These days it's not a season, it's year round.
Right.
So
That's a job.
yeah,
We were back together by this time.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that.
Yeah. So
Thank you, Kim.
started working on myself, which allowed me to get this job and be comfortable and have some income and be able to spend that with Kim and Jake. So we started hanging out again, started staying the night at her place. She started staying the night at my place. By this time now keep in mind, those 5 years, I was living in a place until I couldn't live there no more because I couldn't afford it. Right.
Right.
And so I started living in a camp trailer, a 13-foot long camp trailer in the back of my mom's place. Talk about, not being the person you wanted to be.
Wow.
Right. And so this is when that list started coming up.
Because I want you to get back to that list because eventually that list falls behind something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So, anyway, back with Kim, back with Jake, things are doing well.
How old was Jake at this point?
6.
And Kim, what was he like as he comes
7,
back? As you start
6,
seeing a change in him, obviously
Yeah.
the drinking's gone, the chewing's gone. powder accelerants, but what is he like as a person? What do you see?
He's generous, willing to listen. He's open to our relationship growing, and open to me, and open with his addiction and his drinking.
But he's not
doing it anymore.
He's not doing any AA at this point.
And he's not drinking, or I'm assuming not doing,
Right.
What do you call it? The
Powdered accelerant.
Accelerant. So we're able to remember where we were supposed to be going at this time, and started back.
That's a powerful comment right there, Kim.
Right.
It's powerful. We remember. He could remember where we were going at this
Where we're
time.
supposed to be going.
Where we're
Which
supposed
direction
to be.
we're supposed to be going.
Right. That's a powerful
That
statement.
is. That's good.
Wow. All right. So
Yeah. So start getting things back on the right track. Get very involved. So again, I'm working hard,
Coaching hard.
hard, and playing hard.
Right.
No powder accelerants at this point in time, but I brought alcohol back into my life.
Okay.
And so
Because life was going good.
life is good.
Right.
You know,
Right.
And that's what you did. You went to pizza and had pizza and beer.
Pizza and beer.
Right.
Yeah,
This
and that's
is-
with all the
team
parents.
Right.
and-
With all the
the
parents
team.
and the dads. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good
And
at
after
first.
tournaments. Yeah, it was. So, but again, I at this point in time, I'm not sure that I feel comfortable saying that I had it under control, but somewhat,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't becoming a
Right.
problem. I wasn't calling into work sick or,
Right.
I was doing what I needed to do.
It was a weekend thing.
It was a
let's say.
weekend
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
and those weekend things became problems for our relationship.
That's correct. Yeah.
Right. So again, remember back Kim saying, I don't understand why you have to be the last one drinking.
Right.
That was me.
Right.
It was a badge of honor.
It was a
Yeah.
badge of honor. I could drink anybody under
Exactly.
the table,
And he could.
any place, anytime.
I used to say the same shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all have that similarity.
Mm.
And there's always one that'll hang out with you and try to get to that spot
I've
along
heard-
with you.
Yeah.
I've heard Jason say this. I used to find that one to drag in with me.
Yeah.
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 It's always,
For sure.
It's always have to be a different person each time.
Yeah.
Because they're like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
exactly."
wait, not going back there with Jason.
Yeah. So, once Jake got into high school, the coaching subsided.
Mm-hmm.
That freed me up
I'd
for a
say
lot of
more free time.
More free time.
And I think that's when you got back. You got back with the construction company. Do you want to
Yeah.
say it? I don't know if you want to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said.
Yeah.
So, I got a call, right?
Huh.
Now keep in mind, this company that I worked for,
Top notch.
top notch,
Yes,
right?
they are.
They take
Oh,
care of
for-
their people. They're very family oriented. It was a dream to work for them. People in the industry would do anything to work for this
Mhm.
company, right? And I got a call back saying, "Hey, you ready to come back?" You know, and I'm like, "Well, yeah." You
Can
know?
I ask what reason did you tell him why you were quitting the first time? Did you give him a reason or just say I'm out?
Well,
I don't know if that is any.
no.
Pertinence to
I
this.
never really. So throughout the court battles,
Okay.
I had my boss behind me 100%.
Okay.
Matter of fact, he lined me up with some high power lawyer from San
Okay.
Jose.
Okay.
You know, he knew what was going on, and I was just failing.
Okay.
Now
At work you were failing.
yeah,
Okay.
I was just failing. I
Okay.
didn't care.
Oh yeah. No.
Got
I
the
could see.
F-its, you know.
I could see that.
Yeah, just didn't care. And started just fading away from work.
Okay.
And then he finally called and I didn't answer the phone. He left a message. He said, "You gave me no choice, but I got to let you go."
Okay. Okay.
You know, so, and I was whatever. I
Yeah.
didn't care. I didn't know if I was going to die tomorrow. So it
Right.
didn't even matter.
Right. It didn't matter.
So, yeah, it's
It
crazy.
is crazy to hear you talk like that.
Okay.
So we're well into the fun times of sports and your kid doing, what he's doing and enjoying all of that, and the families that we were around, just like us, working day to day.
Well, he's a freshman now, so wrestling is huge. You're around all the wrestling families.
So
Gosh,
wrestling was
always
huge.
huge.
Yeah. So Kim and I were talking about this earlier today.
Yeah.
And Jake had been to 12 states by the time he was 10 years old.
Wow.
What a gift.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think that's an opportunity.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Like I'm just, it was a
Yeah.
huge part of our family's
Yeah.
life and a huge part of our mending a relationship, right? And a huge part of me tearing it down again.
Yeah, I was just going
Right?
to go there.
Yeah, no, it was all, you know.
It contributed a lot to that, right? I mean, when you're traveling, it's okay to drink, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
when you're away from home, that's when you drink.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
and of course,
100%.
it's like Las Vegas and
Right.
Reno, and
Right.
that's where you're having these tournaments because the parents will go.
Open
That's-
bar,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's normal.
Yep.
Normal.
Vacations to me were,
Yeah.
it was wide open. Yeah.
So we'll fast forward. I mean,
yeah.
we're coming to the end of the story where I finally made the decision. But, you know, after I quit coaching, it freed up a lot of time. I would always have to race home from work, wherever I was working at the time, change clothes, get in the truck, pick up however many kids I could pick up, you know,
Make sure they get to practice.
Yeah, make sure they get to practice and get there and do my deed. And, you know, then during the week, you're ending practice late night,
Right.
you know, 8 or 9 o'clock.
Right.
So you really don't have an opportunity to do anything too crazy.
Right.
Right. So, did really well through all of that period. Again, had those off weekends where, man, I screwed up again. How can I do that? But for the most part,
Right.
maintained.
Right.
After coaching, it was game on again.
Right.
You know, no longer did I have a responsibility to
Obligations,
anybody,
yeah.
no obligation. So I found myself starting to stay at work. Well, actually, I was at the bar, you know, but stay at work longer.
Right.
If I got home before 6 o'clock, I was doing pretty good there at the end. So drinking, you know, powder accelerants are out of the picture. So what's
Got that whooped.
Yeah. Got that whoop, got it out, feeling good about it. Have to pat yourself on the back. But alcohol's, you know, it's available and it's okay.
And legal.
It's legal. It's legal. So let's stick with what's legal.
Right.
Now, on top of that, you guys have both heard me say that many a days I waited somewhere between Oakdale and Livermore at a liquor store until it clicked 6 o'clock to run in to grab me another bottle. So, you know, I was sipping whiskey, driving to Livermore. Some days it'd be 2.5, 3 hours to get to work.
Right.
And that became my
Normal.
excuse as a coping mechanism, right? It used to be just to cope to get on the way home. But then, you know, sipping whiskey at 5 a.m. throughout the day.
That's normal.
Yeah, right?
I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah.
Not for us.
Oof, I'll tell you.
I put it in coffee to make myself feel better, though.
Well, I wish I would have thought about that. It would have made more sense. So, yeah, sipping
Sick-minded.
whiskey at 5 o'clock, stopping at, now, keep in mind, I had multiple stores that I would stop at because I didn't want to stop at the same one every day.
This is where Jason and I are just
Yeah,
alike.
I had multiple, so I'd pick a day that I went to that store and a different day to that store, and they all knew after a while that I didn't want the gift pack, the Crown Royal with the
Because then you have
glasses,
to throw them away.
because then I have to throw the glasses away because I got about 7,000 of them at home. Here's another good one, right? Kim and I, now this was years ago. This was way back. We had literally a 55-gallon garbage bag, multiple,
Oh, that's
full
right,
of
yeah.
Crown Royal bags because we were going to make a quilt someday.
Oh, the
Yeah.
cover
Yeah.
bag.
Yeah.
The purple bags.
Yeah. I'm talking
cool,
garbage
so
bags.
cool.
Yeah.
I mean, full.
Oh my
So,
god.
You probably could have sold that bag for.
Probably. I'm talking all shapes, colors, and sizes.
You could have
yeah.
sold that bag for a mint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Silliness.
Just before you go much further, I interrupted you earlier when Jeff Shea called you back. You tell that story again. I mean, or finish that story. It was right after. Tell that part.
well,
They called and said, "You want to come back?"
yeah, they called and said, "Do you want to come back?" And I, you know, I was doing very well at that point in time with a remodeling business.
No contracting license.
No contracting license, which I do have today,
Yes, you do.
by the grace of God.
Yes, sir.
And this program,
Yes, sir.
right? But
Which we are not affiliated with.
yeah, well, yeah,
That's right.
You say it.
I didn't. I said this.
Yeah. Rob.
Yeah. So anyway, it wasn't just a 100% for sure. Yes, I want to come back. I said, let's talk. I need to hear about it because at that point in time, I had jobs lined up.
Yeah,
for
you're making
months.
you're making money.
I'm making bank, like you know, way more than what I got offered to go back. But the security, the money, the benefits, the 401k, the whole package was a better deal for me. And for us. So it was a no-brainer. So yeah, it was a godsend. It was definitely a blessing.
Amazing,
So,
yeah. But that's all. But you've always wanted that again.
Yeah,
Provide.
I was going to say that earlier. I dreamed about it often,
Yeah.
about getting that call.
Right.
You know, I knew it was always a possibility. I just didn't know when it was going to come.
Could you stay in contact with the company?
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
No,
All right.
I didn't.
God was just there.
So there were a couple of people from town that I got hired there that I would stay in contact with, but not really, just here and there.
Right.
You know, when I would see him, we would catch up.
Okay.
But I wasn't being my best me either.
Right,
So
right.
those guys, for them to recommend me to come back would have been a hard step.
Yep. Hard sell.
You know? So anyway, ended up getting back on. And then my life was so good, I had to tear it back down.
So you're
Yeah,
drinking it. You're
can't
heading,
keep it there.
heading
Yeah.
over the
Every
hill,
5 years,
drinking whiskey.
Yeah, heading over the hill, drinking whiskey at 5 a.m., getting to work, checking in, you know, driving the job just so everybody could see my face about 7.
Not at first, though, right? I
Not at first, yeah, so-
you took us a few years and then eased into it again.
Yeah. It progressively,
This
firm
is-
believer, it's
right.
progressive.
Right.
It progressively got worse, right?
Right.
Not from day one.
Nope.
It took me about 5
Yeah,
years to get
exactly.
to that last 2-year
Right.
stint.
Yeah.
The 2-year stint, it progressed also exponentially, right? But that's when things really
Right.
started getting bad.
Right.
And that's kind of where I'm at right now in my story.
Okay.
It took over my life. There were those the months, the incidents that happened every month or so
Mm-hmm.
started to happen every couple weeks or so
Wow.
to every week to it was a crapshoot.
Mm.
Didn't know if it was going to be daily.
A daily.
Yeah.
Where's he at? What's he doing?
Yeah.
Am I going to see him today?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how old was Jake at this point?
Well, Jake was in high school.
Yeah.
So he was witness to a lot of this.
He was witness to a lot of this.
Okay.
Oh,
All
he
right.
was witness to all of it.
Okay.
I mean,
All right.
yeah. You know, probably now think about this. Me being at 14
Right.
when we think back,
Uh-huh.
you know, I wanted to share that kind of lifestyle with him.
Right. Right.
It's a joke, but that's kind of what it's weird or ironic how similar that is that he went through that time frame, the same time I was
Right,
going through
right.
it, you know, in my
Right.
life. But yeah, I don't know how to really talk about what he felt. I know
No.
it
I
wasn't
didn't want to
great.
go there. I was just curious on if he was witnessing.
Oh,
a
he
lot
was
of this
witnessing.
stuff. Okay.
He was
All right.
witnessing not the really bad stuff
Yeah.
because he had witnessed enough
Mhm.
and he at that point in time had a driver's license. So any chance he could get, he was away from home.
Right. Right.
And that was intentional. And,
Yeah, for sure.
and I knew it.
Right.
I knew it was
Right.
intentional.
Yeah. How were you trying to counsel? Were you trying to counsel Jake at that? Or were you trying to help
Yeah.
Jake through that? You were talking with him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's very smart, very wise and open. And so we definitely have great conversations. It's not great, but deep conversations about what's going on. And that I told him that there'll be things in your future that will trigger some things that you'll need to talk out and you'll want to
Good.
go in and
Good
talk.
for you, Kim.
Yeah. And
Good for you.
Yeah, we would have those conversations. I probably should be telling myself that at that point, but
Right.
I
Well, you were
definitely-
worried about your child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So opened up with him. So
Right.
he's open up and smart enough to really grasp all
Good.
that.
Good.
Yeah. So anyway, we're at the very end here.
Hitting the wall.
The last 2 years, just things really progressed heavily. I was spending a lot of time at the bar when I should have been at work. I wasn't making it home sometimes at all. I would, going back to the hygiene thing, I would wake up in my truck. I would go to the models, take a shower, get back to work. I put on
In the
my
same clothes.
in the same clothes. Then I started getting smarter, so I'd just run to the store and get some clothes. But I was doing that, and it was, I would just stay away from home. I wouldn't answer my phone. And listen, there was absolutely no reason whatsoever. I did not have a reason to be doing this.
This is just alcoholism.
Hiding.
This is just, Kim was gracious. She was loving. We had our issues, but she had reasons to be upset.
Oh.
Like there was nothing keeping me away from home.
Right.
I had a perfect life that I just needed to tear down
Okay.
again. Right. I tore it down and built it up 3 times in my life. And so that's a good point I want to bring up, because there's a lot of people out there that come to the rooms and they struggle and they relapse. I haven't relapsed since I've started this program.
Right.
You know, God willing, it won't happen.
Right.
But I have relapsed multiple times on the journey getting here.
Without the program.
Right. You know, so I think that's important to state. That,
yeah, and just on top of that, there's people in the program that relapse because they say they're part of the program, but they're not working the program. Right. So it does. I don't care if you walk into an AA room 5 days a week. Right. I can go sit in a room 5 days a week. That doesn't mean I'm working the program. Right. Just because I'm sitting in a meeting, listening, don't mean shit.
It don't come by osmosis. Don't think it does.
No. So, anyways, I just because you started working the program.
Yeah.
When you started, you worked it.
Oh, when I made that decision. So
let's talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about the last stint, right? And so it was a blackout drunk. It was, I always get these days mixed up, but it was like a Wednesday to a Saturday. And you know, yeah. And the whole time I was supposed to be at work.
That's one thing we are not alike, Jason. I can promise you that. Never ever blacked out.
Yeah.
Never. Thank God.
Tell it.
Yeah. It just, you know, when I tell this story, little glimpses of things come back. But it was literally a blackout where I knew that I had stayed away from home the first night. So I was ashamed about that. And that all right, well, let's just carry this on. I mean, I'm not gonna give in yet.
Right.
You know, something to that effect or something to that thought. And I have had conversations with people that I talked to during that blackout, tradesmen's, foremen's, like, you know, later telling me, man, you really got after me. I've never heard you yell at somebody like you yelled at me. You know, just like no recollection of it. You know, had great opportunity to make amends.
Yeah.
But you know, I stayed away, and it was so weird because I think at Friday night or something like that, I started communicating through text with Kim, but that whole time it was just, there was no contact. She didn't know where I was at, what I was doing, but she was at the end of her rope too.
Oh yeah.
You know, she was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Yeah. And I knew at this point in time, you know, I was moments, and I mean moments away from losing my job, losing my marriage, losing if I had any left, losing any respect that might have been salvageable with my son. Like it was moments away. Right. So anyway, I came to, and that the first time I ever heard that said in a meeting, I was blown away. Because it is so true. We didn't wake up that day. I came to. I literally snapped out of it. I felt completely sober, although I know I wasn't.
Right.
I think I was just so beyond drunk.
Right.
That I was overcome with emotions. That, oh my gosh, what have I done? I've got to get a hold of Kim. I've got to get back to her right now, and I've got to change my life. Those were the thoughts that came into mind. And so I got in my truck and I headed down the hill. I was in Livermore. Now, keep in mind, I left Wednesday morning. I'm coming home Saturday morning. Left home.
Yeah.
And I walked through the door and I saw a look on Kim's face, her body. She had a look on her body of complete disgust, completely, ultimately brokenhearted, and 100% done with anything to do with me.
Or what you had to say.
Or what I had to say, I guess. It was just
unspoken.
Yeah.
You know, I'll never forget the look that I saw.
And that's one part of his story that's never changed. I mean, when you describe that.
Yeah. I've heard Jason say that multiple times, and just tears me down every time I hear it.
No, and how did you feel right then?
Oh, it's incomprehensible demoralization. You know, it's a term that we hear and I use so often that I've never heard until I read this
Right.
book. But man, talk about hitting home. That is so well said. You know, it goes along with being sick and tired of being sick and tired of all of those times where I promised I was going to get better. And I truly meant it in the deepest part of my soul. I meant it, but I could never execute it.
Yep.
We didn't have the power.
Right.
Didn't have the power to
execute it.
execute it, you know? Man, we were just sick and tired of being sick and tired. It was at the head. It was about ready to pop. And that day is when I decided to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood him. You know, I literally got on my knees and prayed.
Had you ever heard that though? I mean,
Heard what?
did you know about AA? Did you been
Great
introduced to that? I mean, what made you go, I got to turn my will?
That look made him.
Well, I know that.
Okay,
but
what did you decide to?
You know, that's a great question. I don't know that I can answer it, but I'll try. So I have always had a conscious relationship with God.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's a major part of my story. I didn't bring it up today, but I have always had that relationship.
Right.
And I know when I've turned away from him and I know when I've turned towards him. Right. And I think at that point in time, there was only one thing that I knew for sure, that I needed him to help me.
Yep. Wow.
So, you know, at that point in time,
Take a moment on that one.
yeah.
Well, and I told you from the very beginning, I'm very good at interrupting because there's certain things when you say, I want people to understand about our stories is, even though we grew up in a church of God, you know, we talked about this with Doug, you know, we grew up that way. I used to pray to God every day, please take this from me. Please take this from me. Please take from this. You know, I'm sure you had. I'm sure you had in a period of that last 2 years is like, what? Take this from me. Why am I stopping here at 6 a.m. in the morning? Why am I doing this? Take this from me, Lord. Take this. But those words only came out, right? There was zero, nothing meaningful about it.
It's not for him to take, it's for you to give up.
Correct. Rob.
Did you have those thoughts? Did you walk through that, what Larry's talking about? Or was
Absolutely.
it more just, it was like you had pauses in those moments?
What do you mean? Wait a minute.
when you're sitting in front of the liquor store ready to...
Did you ever talk to God and ask God for strength and help to not go in?
That's
Or
why.
was it-
That's
or
why
you
I
already
went to
in that
8
mode?
different places.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I knew I was ashamed.
Right.
But it wasn't a full thought of,
Help me.
yeah. Is that true?
Yeah. It was more of not at that moment, but when I woke up that day. Help me to not stop today.
Right.
Gosh, there it is.
Right.
Stopping.
Right.
You know.
Then once we take that drink,
Right.
Yeah, it's over.
it's over.
It's just to me, it was on the tongue. As soon as it was on the tongue, well, tomorrow's another day.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll try again tomorrow.
100%. But
Okay.
Try again
but
tomorrow.
I had never felt the feeling
Right.
that I felt when I saw the look on Kim. It was undeniable what I had to do. It was undeniable.
It was your switch.
Yeah, it was my switch. That's a great way to put it.
And that was because I had switched. I mean, I'd
Right.
always been there to be like, let's talk it out. What's going on? Da, da, da. And then
Yeah.
it was finally to the point where it's, you leave me no choice. Like your boss said, you leave me no choice.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
100%.
Yeah.
And Katie was just sticking around at the end only because I was providing. I mean, if I had lost my job, she's told me this at the end. If I'd have lost my job, she'd have been gone
Down the road.
Yeah, we had no kids at home. Our kids were grown and gone. You know, Katie. I mean, we provided for our families well enough to where Katie just she didn't want to go back home to mom and dad. She didn't. I mean, I can't answer all those questions, but Katie was done. She'd stopped fighting.
So what did you what in this decision, Jason? What did you decide to do? What was going to be your course of action, and how did you come about that?
Don't know how I came about it, other than I was in the now. I was in the moment at that moment, and Kim uses that word a lot.
Well, no, that Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I just knew that I needed him to help me, and that I needed to get through that weekend, and that after that weekend, I needed to approach my boss. And I needed to tell him that I have a problem and I need help, and that I needed to make a decision of how I was going to get that help. But I knew whatever help I got, and I mentioned this from day one, my boss even questioned me on it. I knew that I had to have a faith-based program.
Mm-hmm.
And I said those terms, and my boss said, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so what I did do is I had the most miserable weekend because your mind is just reeling, right?
Detox.
Just
Going.
detoxing, incredible
That's true.
thoughts
That's
of
true. You're right.
deep anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Again, didn't
Sweats.
know. I didn't know at this point in time. It wasn't that I made this decision and said, okay, everything's going to be better.
No.
At this point in time, my decision was, I'm probably going to lose my wife. I'm probably going to lose my job. It doesn't matter because I'm so far gone. I need to fix myself.
That a boy.
I didn't know if I was going to lose
Yep.
all my friends. We've all had these thoughts, right?
Yep.
That was at that point,
Yep.
but I knew that I needed to work on it. And so once I got through the weekend, I did. I met with my boss. I told him. I broke down. I said I needed help. They came to me with open arms, gave me a big hug, said, we're going to get you through this. How do you want to approach it? They kind of gave me a little coaching on the side and said, I think you could do it on your own. But if you want to go to a program, we're here for you. We've got it. It's all laid out right here. You just tell us which way you want to go.
Wow.
So then I decided that I wanted to go to a faith-based therapist. I never answered your question, Larry. Did I know anything about AA?
Yeah.
I had briefly heard about it, but I didn't know about it. I knew about 12. I heard 12 steps.
Right.
I heard of AA, but I never knew that there was a program. I didn't.
Faith-based.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah,
Right.
I didn't know. So come to find out, we got a therapist right there in town. That's a pastor that everybody knows. That is one of us, and he directed me down that road. I had 10 sessions with him, just getting out everything, and every meeting that we would have, he highly recommended reaching out and going to meetings, and
AA meetings.
yeah.
Yep. Okay.
And then it started. Then from there, it was, as you say, we're checkmark guys.
Right.
I
For
walked
sure.
into the room, sat down,
Now-
I saw the 12 steps. I'm
So-
like, oh baby.
So
Right
the
up
first
my
day,
alley.
the first day you walked in the room and saw those, was that the day I was chairing that meeting? Was that the same day?
No, you didn't come in until I had been going for, I think you came in on third or fourth day.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I had been talking, and they were talking about this Rob guy that would sponsor me probably.
This hobbit.
Yeah.
This little fucking hobbit.
Anyway.
He's only 2 inches taller.
Hey, I never even put 2 and 2 together.
Oh,
But
really?
when you walked
So, okay,
through the door and I saw
okay.
your smile, and I went, oh shit.
Why
here
did I
it
say I never
is.
heard
my
this
brother.
part? I never heard this part.
Yeah.
That people were already giving
Yeah.
you my name.
So anyway, that's kind of in a nutshell. I mean, obviously there's a ton of other things in there,
But isn't it amazing, Jason, that, and I say this and I'm going to say it again, and I pretty much say it almost every podcast. It's that brief something, right, to reverse that darkness that we had in us, right? You looking at Kim, that was that. This got to go somewhere else, right? You saw just enough of a light in her darkness. You saw a light that you had to chase, right? Not chasing her, not chasing Jake, not chasing, but her, that shell of a woman that you loved. And at that point you were looking at a shell because that wasn't the woman that you loved, right? But because that woman was on the side, she was gone, right? Because now she's so broken and tore down, she's no longer that woman. So that moment switched, and you saw your darkness leave for a moment, right? Because you just said it. It wasn't for Kim. It wasn't for Jake. It was for me, right?
Yeah.
For me, you've heard this say a million times, was my son-in-law not taking my phone call, right? Did he get me sober? No, he didn't, right? That's not why I got sober. It was, holy shit, I'm losing respect of everybody that loves me, right? And it was that said, my wife had stopped, my kids had basically, everything had stopped, and then that moment is what reversed. And I had no indication my first response was get me into recovery, right? I knew I had the jitters so bad. There's no way I was going to I shouldn't say that.
But you both had to get to a part of brokenness.
Right.
Pitiful
That's
and
where I was-
incomprehensible demoralization. You had to get to that point before you were even ready to, before that look from
Right.
Kim would have any effect.
Right.
She might have given it to him before, but we had to be in a
That's
certain
what I'm
place
trying to
of
say.
brokenness
Right.
to even see that.
Right.
Which is, he already got there and he was on the road.
Right.
Realizing, and then that's where that crazy mind's running.
And I think what I'm trying to get at is for our listeners in this, Jason, is do you think anything could have helped us get to that switch prior to that?
Well, he said multiple times that there was certain times he knew something had to change. He knew something had to change, and we all knew something had to change. I know what you're getting to.
But what I think what I'm getting at is husbands, wives, daughters, sons, mothers, anybody that's watching somebody go through this disease, understand and be patient and understand that you are not going to change that, right? Am I comfortable in saying that? You guys comfortable in saying that?
I know where you're going. You and I are going to have an argument about this because I'm going to.
Well, we're not going to argue. It's a discussion.
No, I disagree. Well,
Right.
I know where you're going. But what I'm going to say to the
cheerleaders
families,
over
what
here.
I'm going to say to the families is, keep trying.
No,
You never know what might spark something.
Okay.
Don't give up.
Don't give up. Don't just turn your back.
But
Kim
also-
never turned her back.
No.
Katie never turned. They never turned their back on us.
No, I know, but I know what you're saying.
Right.
Do we have to go to these depths? Do we have to get there? Do we? No.
No, we don't have to. We
No,
do.
We choose.
Right.
There's many times when I was sitting in the hospital, the doctor's telling me, we were all, your liver's shutting down, Mr. Thomas. Your eyes are yellow. Did I stop then? I knew I should have, but I was a fucking coward. I didn't have the guts.
Right.
I knew in my mind, I was like, man, I got it, but what am I going to do? And then fear, everything crops up. I didn't have the guts.
Right.
Did I have to go on to that next 6 months? No, I chose to.
Right.
I chose to keep hurting. I chose to keep lying.
For sure.
The reason I want to, because a lot of people say, well, I had to do this. I had to go.
No.
I had to get to this point. I had to go through it. No, you didn't have to.
No,
we made choices.
correct.
And I want everybody to make sure they own their stuff, but I know the point where you're getting to.
I don't want families to
What
feel
brought
like
Jason-
they can't do anymore, right? I mean, that you keep working, right? But
Right.
there's sometimes
But sometimes you do need to, like where Kim got to. Jason knew she was ready to walk.
But she had been. How long had you been ready to walk prior to that, Kim?
Right.
How many times did you look
that
at
was
him?
it.
Probably
That
that
was it.
same
That
way.
was- that
Okay.
was the day.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
But
I don't
you
know
have
why.
to
I remember that day.
understand what
Yeah.
led up to it.
Right.
Yeah, it
Like
was
there was a
progression.
lot happening in a very short period of time. I mentioned it where, go ahead.
And I don't know if in my mind it was walking, but it was letting go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not trying
That's
to
a great,
keep
yeah.
on.
Right.
That's
Okay.
what I saw.
Just I don't.
And
try
that was-
anything
and that was
everything.
enough.
I
Right.
let go.
Okay.
Where he was in
I
his
can't
heart,
answer
in
what,
spirit, and what he
you're-
saw
what you're asking.
was enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm not 100% for sure if I'm stating it right.
Sure.
It's just I just know that Katie tried so many times, right? I know my oldest had tried so many times. I know my youngest had, I've said this many times. Miranda and McKenna are, two different on the way they talk to me, right? My son-in-laws, everybody tried their way.
Right.
It wasn't working. They didn't stop caring. They were still trying. They were still working. They were still doing, but it didn't matter to me until I hit that wall that Jason's talked about. And it wasn't looking at Katie. We were still sleeping in the same bed. We were still walking, we were still saying, I love you. We were still walking through all that, but I could tell her I love yous were falling on the ground, right? My I love yous were falling on the ground because honestly, the only thing I gave a shit about was the bottle, right? I was doing everything I could to get to it. I guess what I'm trying to get at is just those. I don't want families to feel like they're failing. Is what I
you're right.
Got it.
right.
They're
I
not.
don't
That's a different way
want
of
the
saying it.
families
Yeah.
to think
It's
I'm not doing enough because let's go back. The whole reason why this podcast started, right,
Right.
is I had a friend that didn't think he did enough, right. And that's what I'm trying to help. That's
And
what I'm trying to
was
get
blaming
to.
himself for
Right.
his son's overdose.
Right.
Right.
And it's not your fault.
No, it's not.
yeah. There's
It's the
nothing.
addict. It's the
Right.
alcoholic.
It's the
There's-
addict alcoholic. Right.
There is.
It's a
Standing
symptom
on-
of it's
Right.
a symptom of humanity, and
Right.
and some people go down that road, and some
Right.
people overeat,
Right.
go down
Yep.
drugs,
Right.
go,
Right.
and so everybody has these struggles. Everybody, or people that are going through struggles
Right.
have the struggles, and dealing it in that way. Now, it may not be, hey, it's as obvious as someone who's an alcoholic, but you're going through anger or you're
Oh, yeah.
going through depression.
Right.
All of those things are symptoms or product of your emotions or whatever. And that's kind of what families probably go through,
Yeah.
right? Everybody, not just families with alcoholic husbands or fathers, you know,
And
or wives.
Kind of where you're touching with the one thing that bothers me, people say it takes what it takes, right? That's obvious. Jason, you got to frame that door in. You got a 20-foot piece of 2x. Well, you got to cut some of it, right? So it takes what it takes. That's
Right.
obvious. What I get, the part I don't want people blaming God for their steps.
No,
Saying, well,
no.
there's all these steps, which some people do,
right.
All my steps were written out. I had to take these, just like the young man, remember the 6-year-old who we buried his father, right? And I brought up the issue with, it takes what it takes. You had to go through this. Did you have to? Did you have to hurt these people? And in a blackout, Jason doesn't remember. He was before him. He didn't remember this guy. And this was the argument was, did we have to go through this? When people say these things, I have no regrets. I'm glad, it took all those steps to get to right here. I have no, really. Did you have to? So I told the story. There's a 6-year-old boy. He knew me as Mr. Robbie, the man that was coming over to help his father. Well, his father didn't want the help I was given. This kind of help. Went out and drinking, and in the blackout, almost killed his wife. And, laid hands on the kids, and then divorce happened, right? Then he came back for help, still didn't want help, and through the guilt and the shame and the remorse, he ate a bullet. Like our other buddy who ate a bullet and lived, this guy ate the whole fucking thing, died. So then I'm seeing this young man at a funeral. Why didn't you help my dad? Why couldn't you help my father? 7 years later now, this young man, 13, calls me Mr. Thomas. He calls someone else dad. So my argument was this. When someone says, well, it takes what it takes. You got to go through what you got to do to get sober. So imagine this man didn't eat that bullet. He did get this help. And in his night step, he gets to go talk to this woman, and do his night step. Imagine that. And he tells this woman who I've heard people say, hey, listen, I'm sorry for what I did. It was wrong of me, the husband I was, to lay hands on you, almost beat you to death. But it had to happen that way. It's a good thing. Because I couldn't, if that didn't happen, I couldn't be, God couldn't have got me to the man I am today. Do you think God agrees with that statement?
No.
Do you think she does? But I've heard people say, that's why, yes, it takes what it takes. But be sure we are not making God the author of our evil.
Right.
Own your shit.
Right.
Yeah,
For sure.
That's
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. Okay, that being said, that was a good one, Rob. Thank you. You've ventured down that before, and you've never went that deep, and I appreciate it.
Well, I just want to make sure that
No, you hit that one.
When you start saying that,
Correct.
Without realizing, you're saying that. Yep, I had all these words that I had, because there was many times, like in Jason's story, where I knew I needed help. I was too weak, too scared.
Scared was for me.
Period.
Right. Scared was for me.
Yeah,
That's the reason why.
Fear.
I was asking for God's help, but in privacy, and he wasn't answering, so I'm going to continue.
Just like the Anthony Hopkins thing you read to us. It's not for his to take. It's for ours to give up. And until we get to the point where we're so broken, we're like, whatever comes, Lord, I can't do this anymore.
Letting go, absolutely.
Absolutely. And then until you're there.
That statement is huge.
Right. Let it go, absolutely.
But never give up in trying to help. And sometimes help from the family is, disengage. Right. Go your way. Right. Don't enable.
Well, that was what I was going to say for families. If you can, and you can stick around, and you can be well within yourself at the time that you're helping someone else, that's when you're open and help someone.
Right.
But a lot of times in relationships, the disease affects your significant other with another disease. Pleasing, always wanting, always worried, always anxiety, because who knows what's the next step going to be? When's the other shoe going to fall? Is that a way to live? Not so much. It's not fun. That's not a fun way to live. But if you can go through that and come to a point where you're open and conscious and aware of what's going on, and not burdening yourself with that and for all of that's coming from that disease, then you're okay. But I feel like families, they suffer.
Or they do.
Oh, they do suffer.
They do suffer.
Is that okay?
And what's that like? Not knowing who's going to come home, if he comes home, and day in, day out. Let me ask you, Kim, one question. My wife had this, and a lot of women we talk to have this. The reason they stay with the book in Dr. Bob's story says that the alcoholic Mary is just amazing and why would they be subject to the crap we put them up with? You know, would they put up with us, but just amazing women. But Bonnie always said there was always, because she knew my dad. She was fell in love with my dad at the age of 3. You know, anyway. But there were glimpses of the man. There was that.
Right.
Man, the potential that they saw that this kid, and then finally now, as you see the potential actualized, what is that like?
It's beautiful. It's overwhelming with joy when I see him.
Is it worth it?
It was absolutely worth it. Yeah, because it's always what I wanted.
Right.
I always wanted him and to grow old with him. And I knew him from a very young age, so I got to see the potential, understand who he was as a person, as a child, even almost, you know what I mean, and knew him, and
knew his heart.
And I know you guys know what even though at his worst, he's better than some. I know that sounds weird.
No, I don't. No, I don't at all.
He always had my heart, so it was always something that I wanted for us.
What a gift of the program.
Right. So you're in.
Go ahead.
I wanted him to start talking about his recovery.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that road.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty easy
to win
talk
this
about
back,
that,
right? Yeah.
Well, man, how do I even start that?
Well, you're with.
So you came in. You came in the rooms the third day.
Yeah.
You got a sponsor.
I got it. I'm just talking myself into this.
Right. I knew this was going to be. This is where the rubber meets the road.
So being sober and being able to do the next right thing. My early sobriety, the next right thing is the one thing that I held on to. And if you really think about it, in every instance of every day, you have the opportunity to do the next right thing. And pretty quick, doing the next right thing every time becomes habit. That was big for me, doing the next right thing. I prayed every day. I read a lot of Grapevine. I read a lot of the Big Book. I started exercising. I had always exercised, but it was, hit and miss. It was a couple days a week. Then I really started focusing on my health because obviously at that point in time, when we're in the middle of our drinking career, I was pretty hefty. So praying on being able to do the next right thing was the start of my program and the biggest thing that I held on to in the beginning. So that allowed me to do all these other things, right? So one thing that comes to mind that I was able to do that I never thought I was going to be able to do is to throw a backpack back on my back and head deep into the wilderness. Why couldn't I do that before? Well, my pack wasn't big enough to take enough alcohol. Right. Yeah. Because that's what we did.
And that was our thought process. Right. That was our thought process.
We planned it out. Right. We got it. Well, shit, we're going to leave early tomorrow morning. I better go to the store tonight and get that. It was always a planned out affair. And so, Kim and I started backpacking quite a bit, and it was a life-changing moment. We went on a very long one, 40-miler, and, to be able to accomplish that, starting at such a late age, later on in life, we're still young people, but later on in life, to be able to go do that when I really thought that was never in the cards was life-changing. It was very emotional. When we got back, I was emotional for quite some time, just being able to experience what we saw and what we were able to do together. Now remember, sober. But I'm doing this with my life partner that I didn't know that I was ever going to be able to have again. Right. And so, these are the miracles, these miracles that we talk about, they come. I mean, if you want them, they're there for the taking. Right. That's right. Right. And were you going to say something?
No, because I'm horrible. I'm horrible because I want to go back.
Okay,
I want to go back a little bit because I feel like that story you and I spoke about when we went up camping, and that is
which one? What
you just talked about, the 40-miler.
Oh yeah.
But let me just say that's the caveat, the ring on top of your guys's what you guys put back together, because there is you saw her, you walked in, there was that period of the rebuilding that I want to talk about a little bit. And let's talk about that for a minute, because that's a period of time that it had to take, right? I know.
Because we started step work, and Kim, you also started coming into the rooms and the meetings. And then what was that like for you to see what he's doing? Because the only resentment Bonnie kind of had with me, now when we talked years down the road, she's like, the one thing that did bother me is, all the things you went through, but then you go meet with these strangers. You go, every Tuesday you go sit down with this old man, and she goes, I loved it because I love the new man that was coming home, because I would just go to work, head down, meetings every day for 3 years. But she goes, I love the man that was coming home, so I put up with it. She didn't, and she says, AA was mine, you go. But you actually came in the rooms early with Jason and got to see, and what did that do for you?
Maybe that was the really big part of it. What I saw was that he was doing it for himself. It had nothing to do with me, and gave me the release. I think I've always wanted it to be, or not always wanted it, but just it was something I could help him with. It was something that I could do for him. And what am I doing wrong? Like you said, what am I doing wrong? What am I not?
Right.
I'm saying the wrong thing. Just come home. Or what if I said this? Or what if I got mad? What if I didn't get mad?
Right.
You're just going back and forth.
Constantly questioning yourself. What am I doing wrong?
He was doing everything for himself. It didn't matter. Didn't matter if I went. Didn't matter if I enjoyed it. Didn't matter what I said. Of course. I mean, eventually, I'm pretty easygoing, so we were able to talk about it. But I knew I could feel it. It was for himself.
And did that give you comfort to know that?
Absolutely. It was off my shoulders.
Oh, wow.
Off my shoulders at this point.
Wow. Yeah. So you knew it. Yeah. So you knew fairly quickly.
Absolutely.
You knew fairly quickly this is this is for real.
And the steps with him was just like the steps with you. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah. Let's go. And he was getting relief on every time. Let's go. Okay, this is what I've been looking for. Yeah. And then boom.
So there was a question that came up with Grace, and what was funny is that Katie had said something just a few weeks prior to when Grace and Brad were on here, that she had one of her fears was Brad relapsing. And what's funny is Katie had just mentioned that to me, a few days prior to Brad and Grace being in here. Did you ever feel that?
I probably should, but I don't. I don't know. I got so much confidence in him, and maybe I should be more sensitive, because he does talk about that he does. It surprises me when he does talk about maybe being afraid that he would relapse because he's not going to meetings when he thinks he should be. Right. He has, he talks
with the busy schedule and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm like,
as they all say,
I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't thought about that in a while.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. He brings me back to reality that it is a possibility. Yeah. But mostly I got so much confidence in him.
Girl.
Yeah.
That's I love to hear that. I mean, it's not that Katie doesn't have the confidence,
but also think about this, Larry. 2 years, Brad's 2.5. Right. Jason's coming up on 6.
Right.
So there's that growth, but Bonnie's not.
Right. And I said this to Jason in the text yesterday. Absolutely. I mean, I said this yesterday. The first time I heard, and we're going to spend some time on this, and Jason's going to come back on our next episode. We're going to spend some time on this. And the reason why we're going to spend some time on this, because Jason, speaking about the complacency in our walk and our recovery, was one of a major thing for me, right? I was actually in a point to where, I was only like a year into this, and I heard Jason say that he had to double down because he felt that complacency in that 5 to 7 year window of that complacency. And there's really the first time I had heard anybody in that recovery in our program say those words. And I automatically go, oh, fuck. Okay. All right. That ain't going to happen for me. Right.
But I think Jason heard that from somebody.
Yeah.
There's
a 5 to 8 year window.
So that's been his, I know he takes the information, he processes it, and he does stuff with it. So that's just him.
Jason and I are the same way with that. When I hear something, I got it. What did he just say?
Exactly.
That's why when we're talking in here, I want to get, when you say something, I want to get her response because I want to hear more about that.
And also, like you, Jason's a check.
I
call him Checkmark Charlie.
Oh yeah.
But when he had that note, he briefly talked about the note that he had written a while back, and he would go on that checklist. Right. But when he kind of got off the checklist, that note had fallen behind the dresser or something. So he wasn't checklisted anymore, and then he got back.
So he went back to drinking. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So you guys, I know you had separated prior, right? When you guys got back together, but that last time, you guys didn't separate at that time.
Oh, no.
You guys stuck right there because you saw it immediately.
No,
I
it was
almost saw it,
immediate.
yeah.
It was
I don't-
immediate action.
I
It
know.
was.
Just
It
blessed
was.
with
Thank
from-
you for that immediate.
Right.
It was.
Yeah.
It was immediate
It's not-
action. I never
Yeah.
looked back.
Right.
I have never looked back. I don't want to look back.
It's
Right.
different than the arguments and the constant.
I'll try next time.
Yeah, I'll try.
Or-
It was okay.
Yeah. This is the last.
It.
This is it. This is it.
Yeah.
There is no
It was
more.
different, and I don't know how to explain it in words, but
Right.
it was
But that's
different.
why God
Yeah.
acts.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
you've said it many times, and we ask God a million times
Right.
to take this
Right.
from us, and we're just hoping
Right.
that He snaps His fingers. Okay, now you're well. That's not how it works.
Well, we're looking
gotta-
for the
Yeah.
easier, softer
And we
way.
were-
But
we
it's
were-
for it's for us to give up, not
Right.
for His to take. Okay, here now
Yeah.
you can have this, but
Yeah.
and that always follows action.
It's
Getting for
easier
us.
if God would just take it from us.
But we
it
would
would
take
be,
it back.
right?
Yeah,
But we
but
would
then-
take it back.
then-
We wouldn't
then-
appreciate it,
No,
and we
for
would
sure.
we would take it right back.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
That's why He doesn't.
Right.
Right. And I say that tongue in cheek because I know that, something earned, you're going to respect it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You always earn it. I've earned my sobriety. You've earned your sobriety. You've earned your sobriety, and you've earned the love that this man's given to you. You've earned that. Katie has earned everything I'm giving back to her now, right? Because, and I don't know about you guys, but our relationship now, Katie and I, and I'm sure Bonnie feels the same way as in Rob, I'm closer to my wife now than I was prior to. I mean, Katie and I have been dating since high school as well, right? We've
Okay.
been together. I mean, I started dating her junior year. I was senior. We've known each other all of our lives, right?
Okay.
She grew up just right over here. But my love for her now is deeper than it ever has been because I appreciate what she did, right? She could have easily packed up and left. Shit, she's a beautiful woman. She'd been remarried to somebody a hell of a lot better than me by now. But she stuck with me. She saw the man, right?
I've always
She saw the
seen it
man,
in him.
right?
Yeah.
Katie has said that.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you'd have glimpses, and
Uh-huh.
I would see the man come in there, right?
Yep.
The kind of alcoholic I was a 24 hours a day. I would never black out. That wasn't my style of drinking. I would drink until, I was drinking to subside the anxiety and all that pure rage inside of me, that intensity, that's the resentments that I had inside of me. As soon as I got that calmed down, I was okay, right? And then of an evening when I got home and I felt like my job was over, and then I would drink uncontrollably till I just said, it's time for me to go to bed, right? I was never a blackout. Katie never missed me for days at a time, right? I think there's days that she wish I'd have not came home, right? But anyways.
So I got a question for Kim. I'm going to read this first. I've read it before, but this is Dr. Bob's Nightmare. He says, for some reason, we alcoholics seem to have the gift of picking out the world's finest women. Why they should be subjected to the tortures we inflict upon them, I cannot explain. However, in that, Kim, even though there was a child and all these years, I think we drive them half crazy. So they're not saying to be, they're saying to be, they're just kind of in that. So when you kind of, and when like when I do this, and then we kind of grow together again.
Yeah,
When
exactly.
this process.
We grew up together.
Yeah.
We weren't prepared for this life of suffering that we brought upon ourselves. I just feel like we got to a point. God gave Jason the light, and I was ready as well. Because we were still having that relationship that was not healthy, and so I was perfect for him. I was perfect for his destruction of alcohol and everything else because I was just always
right. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
And another thing my wife says is that, and I'm sure, even though Kim sounds soft, there's fire. She's awesome. Oh, yeah. But my wife says this, Kim. She says,
I don't know about that.
if another woman would have got this,
yeah.
I'd burn you both. I'd burn the house you're both in, so,
Oh, I know.
She's not going to,
Yes.
she goes, I would not put
Yeah.
up with that, Rob.
Right.
And not get to have the benefit
Yes.
of this, Jason. Because that's,
Yeah.
because, you're right. Because I've known him for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I remember because when we met, my first bachelor party, a lot of powdered accelerants, right? And we looked and everybody goes, you guys could be brothers. And so I go, are you Portuguese? Nope, I'm Maltese. What is that?
Exactly.
Is that even a thing? So, of course, it is. And we got to talk, and that's where we have met. And you guys were on a hiatus at that point, in that moment.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I just gotten out of the military because I ran away to try to, try to run away from my problems. And I brought them with me.
How'd
when
that
was
work out
What
for you?
year was that?
Mercy. 95-6-ish.
Oh, yeah, we were. Yep.
Yeah.
We had a lot of hiatuses. Oh, baby.
Yeah.
But you said you started holding hands in the 5th grade, so yeah.
I'd say 7th grade.
Yeah.
He tried to kiss me. I ran,
Had
Well,
a girl.
it started in 5th grade.
Yeah.
Stop.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But what a story.
Yeah.
It was a love story.
I
But
love it.
now the best part's still to come.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
I mean, you
Yeah.
guys.
Just
I know it's
the
scary.
best part's
It's
just now
so
happening.
Right.
So overwhelming. I don't
So-
even know.
So
Every
that's
time.
and that's what I wanted to go back to. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, Kim. Is when I was very fortunate to have Jason and myself for a day and a half when we went camping. When I say fortunate, I mean fortunate. One of my habits I still have is Copenhagen, and he told me I just quit it one day. I'm like, God bless you. And he said, I think he said it was about a year after you quit drinking, wasn't it?
10 months.
10 months after you quit drinking, he said he just dropped it. I still can't let it go, right? And it's a stupid habit.
Won't. Not can't. You can.
Right.
You just won't.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you. I just don't want to. I don't.
Okay.
And there's nothing. And he's right. I
Yeah.
just absolutely. And I told Jason the same thing when we were up camping. I said, "God bless you," because it's just it's still that thing that keeps me attached to that old person I was. That's how I kind of look at it now.
And by God, nobody is going to tell me
That's right.
when I'm going to quit.
Katie even
yeah.
gave up
Sure.
trying to.
Well, that's part of it.
Right. And
When
it's
you're
still a
ready,
huge resentment.
You will.
Anyways, getting back to my point, I don't know how I went down that. I went down that rabbit hole. I
You
got
got
that
you got a
time.
day and a half with Jason.
I had a day and a half with Jason.
None of us were
and-
there, Katie. Kim, by the way, it was just him, apparently.
And it was, well, you guys didn't come until the next day.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Jason and I, we had a day, and you guys came up the next day, and we got to do a lot of stuff together. And hearing him talk about what you two are doing together, the hiking and doing that kind of stuff, I'm like, good God, that to come to how far you guys have come. I love my wife, but she would never go out in the wilderness like
But that's our. But
That's
me and Bonnie
not
are
her.
working towards that. That's why I got a new hip.
Right. I mean,
Was that-
so Katie and I are in the process of still trying to find that common ground of what we enjoy doing together, right? And it's coming, right?
Right.
I mean, it's just I'm still 908 days, right? But we're learning that process to be together. We love being together. We know we have to have hobbies together. Our hobbies at this point is being with our grandkids, right?
Well, that's good too.
I love being with my grandkids. I mean,
But you do need to have something together that is
Yes.
yours. Invest
Yes.
in one another. It's
Yes.
necessary.
May I suggest cribbage?
we ain't that old yet, Kim. Good God. Oh, I love playing cribbage.
I'm just kidding. No, I don't know. You just, like you said, you're finding your way.
We are.
Yeah.
We're finding that.
And this guy, he knows me inside and out, and he's like, okay, she's a little nervous about all this and trying to get, because I used to be an athlete. I got far from that, right? And so he's like, let's just ease her and build her back up.
Right.
And he probably didn't think I noticed, but these are the things he was trying to do for me, right?
Oh yeah.
And so I got to that point, we were able to do that, and then he also,
My wife just got one of those.
yeah,
That's her,
okay.
because me and Jason talked.
Good.
So, and I backed off. So it won't be.
Yeah. And hiking? What?
Right.
I'm not a hiker. So, but he made it comfortable. And I trust him so much, and he if he's going to do something, he's going to be well versed, understand everything.
Me too.
Read about it.
Right.
Go on the computer, understand it, buy stuff. We had Amazon packages every day, and he just made it comfortable.
Was that your first hike?
No,
The 40 mile.
no. He worked. That was what I was saying.
Yeah.
He's working me towards
Gotcha.
that process. We went 3 miles. We went 5 miles.
Right.
We stayed the night. Went in a
Wow.
little bit
Okay.
further.
Okay.
Went 10 miles. Whatever 14. I can't remember what it was. And then I was ready. I was ready to take the 40.
But you guys spent a week doing that.
4 days. 3
4
days.
3 nights, or I'm sorry,
yeah.
2 nights.
2 nights because we lost our mattresses.
Oh, that's right. That's
We
right.
didn't lose them.
They popped, right?
The pop.
Yeah.
One popped, and I pulled the stem off the other one because it was so cold.
It was so
broke
cold that
off.
night. So I'm like, we were like, oh, we're not spring chickens anymore.
Right.
And I'm like, I cannot sleep on this
No,
ground.
it was 14 miles in the first day.
Okay.
And I mean, we had it planned like 6 or 7 miles a day.
Right, okay.
We are going to be 3
But I was-
nights, 4 days.
I was determined.
Yeah. And yeah, so this was at the end of a summer where we had 10 trips in.
Okay.
This is what
So
I'm saying.
we were-
Like, he eased me into
Oh,
it.
We
Yeah.
were ready. We
Yeah.
were physically ready.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
hips, knees, all the
Right,
joints
right.
were well versed.
All the equipment.
Nice. Nice.
So we were ready for it. But it was a struggle because of the mattress situation.
Yeah.
You know, it was good to get in on the first day, go 14. I was carrying 50 pounds and she was carrying 35 or no, 40.
40, yeah.
That trip you were carrying 40. So, and it's a 4,000 feet elevation game.
Wow. Wow.
So,
But
anyway.
what a
Yeah. I
It
just.
but something together like that. Gosh, I will always remember the feeling that we had when we woke up at Wood Lake. It was just a beautiful moment.
Yeah. See, and that's what
And
I
you
was
see it in
getting
the
back
pictures.
to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
what I
yeah.
was getting back to on the whole why I went down that, because when I got to spend that time with Jason and how that to go from the hell that state of depression, let's go all the way back where Jason was talking about eating a bullet, right?
Yep.
To
To
that,
Yeah.
right?
It's amazing.
To that.
amazing.
Amazing.
Right. All the work that you do at work building homes doesn't even remotely come close to the amount of work you put in
Well said.
mentally to get to that.
100%. You're
Yes.
right.
So anybody struggling thinking that it's just going to magically disappear, it ain't going to magically disappear.
How many years
No,
is that?
no,
How
but
many
the,
years?
but the good takeaway is there's hope.
That's,
it can
that's
happen.
what I was
It will
getting
happen.
at, Jason.
It will
That-
happen. If
that's what I was getting to, Jason. That's what I was getting to. No, if you put in the work, what comes at the end is a hiking trip with a beautiful woman that you get in and wake up at a wood lake and celebrate that moment together, right?
But
That
what you're
moment.
celebrating really is the journey up to that
Yeah,
point.
that's
That's what
right.
you
What-
appreciate.
yeah.
That's
journey.
where Jason said when he come out, he got emotional about it. I remember Jason and I talking about how emotional he was. Even when we were talking about it up there, he was still talking about it emotionally. I could hear it in his voice.
Well,
it was still very emotional.
there's a lot to it. And, you know, for somebody listening, they may be like, well, that's just crazy. I don't want to go hiking. That's too much.
But you will want to do something.
physical
Yeah, you
effort
will.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But you have to understand, like, the way that this program is designed, it's about working on yourself.
Right.
And being in the now.
Right.
You know,
Right
that
now.
Eckhart Tolle, I highly recommend that
Right.
guy, because being in the now, when you're backpacking, or maybe you're just going for a morning run,
Mm-hmm.
you are in the now
Right.
at those moments, because you are one step in front, or one step to the next step,
Right.
to the next
Right.
step, and you are physically potentially hurting,
Right.
but you're thinking about what you are doing, right? You are 100% in the now.
Now.
And to be where I was,
Mhm.
completely opposite of being in the now, to being in the now for a 40-mile trip the whole time. I mean, there's moments when we talk,
Right.
but
It's
90% of it is we're
grinding.
taking in
Oh,
nature.
yeah.
Like, there is we live right here below Yosemite.
Right.
Like, we are
Right.
right on the border of
Right.
Yosemite.
Right.
It's the most beautiful area you could ever imagine.
Right.
You know, and being in the now.
But how much
Again.
Jason did when you came into AA and you heard one day at a time, one day at a time,
Right.
sometimes one moment at a time,
Right.
to being in the now. That's our whole existence.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing, right? We have said that in multiple different ways. And the other night got a chance my grandson went to a football game with me, and I was coaching on the sidelines, and I just was looked down the sideline, and I see my grandson as we're getting ready to score. He was just elated. At that point, I didn't give a shit what was going on the football field. I was watching him.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. I
And
mean, it
we-
was just
And we
I
would
can
have missed
understand
that.
right.
Yeah.
The old us in our drink, even if we were standing on the same sidelines,
Right.
we would have not
That's
appreciated
why I
it. We
sent
would
you
have
guys the picture of him. And I
Oh, it
said,
was awesome. I know
was
exactly what you
one
mean.
drink away from missing this. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
it's incredible. It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what you talk about being in the now, right?
Yeah.
Anything I do now, anything I try is that, right? I want to be with Katie here. I want to be
Present.
with my daughter here. I want to be present, right? We were present prior, but our minds were somewhere else trying to figure out where the next drink was coming from or how I was going to get the next drink or if I had to hide
mentally
it.
present, not physically.
Correct. Yeah. And now,
two different things.
Now to be, I was sitting downstairs with my daughter yesterday, Miranda, and Katie and McKenna were upstairs doing something. And I just looked over and I just said, I love you. And she was like, I think she was a little taken back. And I just had that moment with her. I would have never had that anytime. I had a moment. I want to say, I love you. Right.
Little God shots.
Right. And it was just, I love you. I love you too. And I'm like, I wonder if she realized just how much I meant that, she did, I'm sure, but
But you did.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's incredible though that, and we're going to start wrapping this up unless there's something that you left out, Jason. I mean, Kim, if there's something else you want to bring in, we tend to, Katie says this all the time, let them finish their story. Right. It's not that we're on a time restraint. It's just, I could sit here and talk about this for hours. Right. I could.
Yeah, Jason, Larry as well as I do.
Shut up.
Damn well he probably sits up here naked, rubbing himself, talking into these mics,
geez.
just listening to himself. He does.
That is not a picture I want to see.
But you know what
I
happens.
got video.
We'll do some step work on that.
No, I do. Because I love talking recovery. I love talking it. That right there, that when you told me that 40-mile journey that with Kim, I was like, I was jealous, right? I was jealous. But then I know, well, that's just not my wife. We'll figure it out. We will. We talk about it.
My wife loves to fish, and my wife loves Kim.
Right.
They have a lot of similar personalities, and Jason and I are a lot. Come on.
Right. But what I'm trying to get at is, trying to find that things that we enjoy to do together.
You will.
We will. I ain't worried about
You
it.
got that
right?
motorhome, baby.
Yeah, and that's getting closer and closer, right? Those Katie and I do love traveling together, and those are the things we enjoy. Anyways, I don't know.
Just the time spent together in the now.
Right.
We're saying that now is beautiful. It's and being able to have conversations. But what I've always the thing that with Jason is I've always had a good conversation with him.
Right.
We've always been deep and been able to talk through things, and that I think that's what's gotten us through a lot of this. And he knew where he was and didn't want to be there.
Right.
And then now these conversations are even more blessed because now it helps me.
Yep.
I'm growing.
Right.
I'm doing more. And so anyway, yada, yada.
Those are all the benefits of sobriety.
It's the rewards.
Yeah.
I look at it as the rewards.
So you could be on a 40-mile hike and you could be on a 40-mile drive and you're still getting that.
And it just, or a 40-minute sitting down. Or Katie and I love going out in the backyard on Saturdays and Sunday mornings and drinking coffee together. We love that. And we, like you said, we don't even speak sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. We're just together. We're there in that now. Right.
Yeah. And I keep saying that
mentally and physically, both mentally and physically, knowing that she's present and she's got mentally and physically know that I'm present there.
That's right.
And we could have that conversation if we want.
Right.
We're just enjoying the peace and quiet.
What I'm learning is do it now. And it might be my age, right? Do it now. I keep thinking in the future we're going to have time to sit and have coffee at the, in the backyard at our little new table we have there. But we're doing it now.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do everything now. And I'm loving life, so.
You guys are going to be blessed with grandkids someday.
God willing.
All right, Mr. Jason, Kim, I absolutely love this time together. You're coming back with us. We're gonna bring you back. Rob, unfortunately, you're gonna be back. Kim, if you want to sit in with us and be a part of this next one, you're more than welcome to. But we're gonna cut this one out, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna hit a topic that's very clear to me, very dear to me, I guess I should say.
Thank you for joining us today.
We hope you learned something today that will help you.
If you did not, come back next week and we'll try again.
If you like what we heard, give us a 5-star review. If you don't like what you heard, kiss my... You can't say that, can you? Anyway, if you don't like what you heard, go ahead and tell us that too. We'll see what we can improve. We probably won't change nothing, but do it anyway.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Come back next week and hopefully something will be different and something will sink in. Take
This
care.
has been Recovery Unfiltered. No, but you input too. I'm cracking that book.